You know what makes me...
Shelley Winters is back with us on Live at 5 this day. Her autobiography is called Shelley, also known as Shirley, and it was a giant, as they say, in the publishing biz. It was a big hardcover bestseller, and now it is being re-released in paperback. Last year when she was on the program, she tore the entire place up with a great story about a naked turkey, a plucked naked live turkey that was found in a refrigerator during a Thanksgiving party. There is more than enough in this marvelous woman's life story to talk about for weeks. We are delighted, Sue and I, to welcome you back to our program.
Thank you very much, Jack.
You are working on a sequel, I understand.
Yes, I am. It sort of happened accidentally. I mean, I seem to have total recall, and I only wrote the first one up to 1955. So I feel that I should go on. And
the title of which will be?
The Best Part.
There were some pretty...
If you thought number one was good.
There were some pretty good parts in the first one there that you...
I'm going to write a lot about television because it was the live days, and I personally helped to kill live television. I didn't, yes, I did. I didn't mean to do it, but I did a film. I should talk about stories from Shelley, my book that's in paperback, but I think I'll go on and tell you some of the new stories. Okay. If you buy that one, then you can read all about the sexy, you know, all the fellas and the career, right, and the struggles and my marriages. Okay, buy the book. I'll tell you about I was, let me see, remember Joey Bishop? He had a show and it was live, and it was very dull. People were just saying yes, no, maybe, so, and he was desperate. So finally, I took my evening gown off and I put on a sable coat, and I walked out, and I said, "Hello, Joey." And he looked at me sort of a little askance and said, "Hello, Shelley, you came out before your introduction." I said, "Yes, but I felt I should." He said, "Why are you keeping your coat on?" And I put my back to the camera. I mean, I didn't think there was a camera in back of me. And I said, "Because," and then I closed it. And the next day, Joey was on tape.
That was it, the end of the live show.
And then once I did a thing called The Dark Wall that later Joanne Woodward won an Oscar for. And I played a schizophrenic three-part. And I got in and I had to get in a closet. I became a little girl. And the set designer put two closets on the set, and I got in the wrong closet. Oh, no. And I was crying and tears, and I was acting up a storm, and I could hear rah, 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 because they had to break down the set and put light on me. So about three weeks later, it was all taped. That was Playhouse 90, I think.
Tell the story, and this is in your first book, about one of the more charming personalities in the business. You and Frank Sinatra worked together on a picture that almost didn't get finished.
I don't think there's time left.
Sure there is.
Come on, Kelly.
Well, talk about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Frank Sinatra is. He can scare the hell out of you.
That's right.
Anyway, it's already been said today.
Yeah.
Okay. And he also is very generous and kind. And I did this film, Meet Danny Wilson, with him when he was divorcing Nancy and marrying Ava Gardner, and I think he didn't want to. And I think I was supposed to be the reason that he didn't, but I had other things going at the time. Am I making myself clear?
Yes, I think
so. And there was always psychiatrists. The children were quite young, and priests on the set, and it was just chaos. And one night at the Burbank airport, we had a long scene, and it was a picture where he didn't get the girl, and that's very tough for Frank. And when I don't get the fellow, it's tough for me. And habit. And what happened? Let me see. We had this terrible fight, and it ended up with us screeching at each other. I mean, absolutely. And he said something terrible to me, like something of a Brooklyn dumbbell, and I said, "Oh, you no-talent Hoboken idiot." I mean, classy stuff like that.
Very complimentary. Yes.
We really. And I thought he was going to. His makeup man was going to shoot me, or he was going to hit me, or something. But he got in the limousine and went away and hit Ava Gardner, I think. And, he was going out with it. But we couldn't end the picture. I mean, we wouldn't work with each other after that. And they were going to end the film and just put up a sign. We can't end this film because Mr. Sinatra and Miss Winters do not speak to each other. But finally we sort of got to a compromise, and we did.
And contracts will have something to say.
But for a long time, I was afraid of the Rat Pack. I really was. But now I go to his opening, Caesar's Palace, and he really is isn't
I was going to say, do you ever bump into him anymore?
Oh, yes. I don't have any good fights anymore. There's no worthy opponents. It just really isn't. That was a great fight.
My favorite story is the Anthony Franciosa one.
Oh, no, I can't tell that. That's in the next book.
Oh, it was in this one too, though.
Oh, no, it was it?
Yeah.
Oh, dear, was it?
And the story had something to do with memory, Shelley.
Well, and, I wrote 1,200 pages, and they had to cut it. I don't know why they had to cut it. War and Peace is 1,000 pages. But anyway, they cut it, so I'm not sure.
Well, the point, I can say it in one line.
What is it?
You hadn't seen him for 17 years, and you ran into him at the actor studio, and you didn't recognize him.
No, you got to explain. He was my husband.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it wasn't quite that way. Listen, no, it wasn't quite that way. I hadn't seen him for 17 years, it's true. And we were just having members and not observers, and I saw Brett Summers and this attractive man coming up the steps, but he had sort of grayish hair, and he'd been in a picture, and the top was streaked blonde, and he looked, and I think he had boots on, or something, and maybe psychologically I blocked out the whole marriage, but I don't think that was it. And he came up, and I am so frightened of not knowing somebody's name that I get it wrong. Do you ever do that?
Oh,
no,
yes, constantly, yes.
Sure.
Anyway, so they came up the steps, and I said, oh, hello, you're a member? And it was very suntan, and he said, yes, for about 20 years. And I said, oh, well, why don't you go to the actor studio in California? And he said, yeah, I should, my career needs it. And he kept looking at me, and I said, yes, well, and Brett was laughing, and I didn't know why. He said, and I said, well, you really will enjoy yourself in California, because it was suntan. I said, the actor studio is very good there. And he said, Shelley, Tony Franciosa, your ex-husband. But I don't know whether it was real. He looked different, and I think maybe I had blocked the whole thing out. So
I guess there's another Franciosa story in book 2.
Talk about the ultimate put-down.
No, it wasn't a put-down. It was as a matter of fact, if I rated all my lovers and husbands, he would be 10. Maybe 10 and a half.
All right. High marks from Mr. Franciosa.
So that's why I blocked it all off. Can I end this interview?
Yes, we're ending it.
We got to stop right here, I think, because the license may be hanging by a thread. Shelley Winters, thank you very much for being with us. You've been here twice. Anytime you're in the city and you want to come by and schmooze a little, please drop in.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Sue.
Oh, mercy. That was close. Okay. That's Live at 5 for today. Please join us again tomorrow. Details of all of today's top stories are next on News 4 New York.
Live at 5 is a presentation of News 4 New York. This is WNBC TV, New York.